Hello. Um, Again, it's Eric Molendyk here, National Coordinator for the Tetra Society, and this is another segment with Connect Together, brought to you by Tetra. I am coming to you on a very sunny afternoon on a Wednesday, and I'm privileged to be doing an interview with Robin de Goutiere, who is a volunteer for Tetra, and Robin does projects out in the Surrey, Langley, Delta area. So as you can see through our interviews, our volunteers cover all over the Lower Mainland. Robin, good afternoon. How are you?
Very fine. And how are you, Eric?
Oh, good. You and I were already complimenting our choice in shirts and our dress. So, we're great minds think alike. So I think we're off to a good start there. And Robin, I've had the privilege to get to know you over the last couple of years, but for those who don't know, what's your engineering background?
Well, I started life as a marine engineer, went to college, and then worked as a chief engineer on passenger ships, cruise ships, heavy lift ships, and in icebreakers in the Arctic for a good length of time, up until about 1989. And then came ashore and went back and did a graduate degree in the States, in Maine. And from there, I went on and did computer-based maintenance systems for a marine chemical transport company in the States, and also did root cause analysis, which is really interesting. That's where you look at a problem and don't assume that what caused the problem is the actual cause, and go back and find the actual root cause. Did that until about 1997, and then moved on from that company and opened my own company and developed software with an American partner, a brilliant software engineer. And we did that until 2010 when we sold our company, and that retired me.
And so then once that happened, how did you find out about Tetra, or what intrigued you about Tetra to say, I'll give it a shot to volunteer with this group?
Well, my daughter talked me into it, actually. She found it for me because I was steering about. I learned very quickly that a man needs a purpose. And once you're retired, hunting and golfing and fishing and motorcycles and all those other things, they're just hobbies, and they really don't mean a lot. They just take up time. So I needed something purposeful to do with my life, and this seemed like a perfect fit because I like creating things. And I like designing things, so what better to do than do that and help people at the same time?
Well, and again, we're being Tetra are very, very thankful that your daughter did talk you into it. Now, your daughter she's going to medical school? Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Because along with your engineering, of course, you're a proud father, and I remember you said, Eric, I'm going to have to miss a meeting because you helped move her down to get ready for school to go to the States. So
that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, kind of the many different aspects of a life of Tetra volunteer. And the first project that you did was for a lady named Maureen, and I remember how thankful she was for the device that you made. And your wife joined you on that project. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a good project. That was one of my first challenges where I had to think my way through a lot of stuff. And Maureen was very, very nice and very appreciative. And it worked out very well. Again, it's just simply applying engineering theory. She needed to move herself without any strength. So it's a matter of applying leverage and putting things in the right place so that that can happen.
And so how did you solve that problem? Was it through bands, or like how did you come
I built a hinged padded loop that bolted to the edge of her bed so that she could hook her arm through it and just pull herself with her arm, because from the elbow up there's not much leverage involved. It's a lot easier to pull, and then it would hinge out of the way so her bed could be made and removed easily with just a pin. It wasn't a really difficult thing to do, but it was more the thought involved in getting the right thing done.
And you brought up something interesting that I'm always curious about, because all the years that I've sat at a meeting, we all know I'm not technically skilled. I'm just impressed that we were able to connect here on Zoom. That's a success for me. So when you're designing a project, do you look at it from the engineering point of view? Do you look at it from the client's ability? Do you look at it from the pieces of equipment that you have available that will work in that space? What are some of the key elements that help you solve a solution in that way?
Well, it's all of those three and probably some more. The most important is the needs of the client. And from there, you apply that to what is possible. And then what's affordable, of course, because there's always elegant solutions that cost a fortune. And then see what's available to fit the need. And most things can be made. I've got a nice machine shop, so if there isn't something available on the shelf, I can pretty much shape anything into what I want. But in most cases, I like to find things that have already been made and apply them in different ways.
And that's another advantage that you have. Again, you fabricate all the projects and parts in your own home, in your own shop.
That's correct, yeah.
So what makes up your shop, Robin?
A small mill and a lathe and drills and tools and saws and everything else. I think the most important things are the mill and the lathe, but I think I have all the tools, which makes me smile.
Yeah, well, me too. Me too. My grandfather was a farmer, and so he had all these tools, and he had this huge shed where all of his tools were. So I had to obey the rules of not touch, but I always saw the value of tools. So I always think it's awesome when volunteers say, well, I have a workshop, and the stuff that comes out of the workshop is never ceases to amaze. And another thing that you've really helped out at is the recreational aspect. You are the go-to really for adapted curling aids and power soccer, which are two fun sports. So can you talk about some of the devices that you've done for those two groups?
Well, I didn't really build anything for power soccer. It was more fitting already existing things onto the chairs. But that's kind of rewarding because you can see the kids are having a lot of fun with the power soccer. And I actually haven't even been to see them play, but to see the look on their faces when you get the bumper on the front of the power chair and they're heading off into the gym, that's enough. Just, you can see they're pretty excited because then they're going to have some really good fun, And I think it's the same in curling. It's people are out doing things and having fun in the community. And most of the stuff I've made for curling has been pretty simple. There's been a couple with some challenges, but most of it's just places to put the sticks and supportive devices so that people don't fall out of their chairs after they push the rock and go forward onto the ice. And there's other things like that. There's been a couple of push pulls I've made that were a little more complicated because people with very limited arm movement can't control the way the rock goes. So I built sticks with slightly resistive twisting motions on the handle so that if their hand does this, the stick doesn't. And those have been a bit of a thought challenge, but they've worked out very well.
And of course, another aspect of the curling, as you said, is maintaining the balance.
Right.
So there's another post that you attach that they can lean against as they're throwing the rock down the ice.
That's correct, yeah, especially the quadriplegics because they have no upper body strength at all.
And of course, you shared the other night at the meeting that we had during this time, you are still fabricating devices for clients from your home. And
I am, yes.
You're currently working on one for more arm support and still fabricating devices now. Is that the prototype beside you there?
Well, there's two prototypes, but this one here is the one I'll put it on my chair. Because I can't work with the clients themselves right now because of this COVID thing, I have got to try it on myself and imagine that I don't have any arm strength and that my arms are half the size they are and that I'm strapped in a chair. But so I do this when I work at my desk. I keep this on now and see how well it works for me. And if there's any limitations or shortcomings, then I can adapt and improve. And once I get to see my young clients again, we can try it on them and we'll see how it goes. But I think this excites me because I can see this. There's more than 3 people out there that need something like this. And the commercial solution is about $1,500. So if I can do this for people that can't afford $1,500, this would be pretty exciting. So,
and that supports the arm as they're moving, and then they don't have to use as much energy to change the angle.
That's right. There's a lifting thing here with a spring in it, and you can adjust the tension. So I've got it set for the weight of my arm, but for a young person, we just back the tension off. And one young client I've got, her OT described it as, we need this so that she can feed herself. And I'm thinking how demoralizing to be 18 years old and have to be fed, you know. So if she's able to pick up a fork or a spoon and feed herself at the table, how wonderful will that be?
Yes, yes. Well, and the device there, so as you said, it's spring loaded, and the frame of it, is that metal, aluminum?
The whole thing is aluminum except for this. This is polycarbonate. I heated it up, and just you can shape it any way you want when you get it up to a certain temperature. The latest thing I did today was to put springs on here because with a little linear rail, it would shoot to the end, which was kind of annoying. The spring pulls it back to the middle. And it's getting pretty good now. I just can't wait till I can actually go and visit one of my 3 young people and try it on them.
Yes. And then when you fabricated that, is there any welding there?
No welding. That's the one thing I can't do. Yeah, I can weld, but I don't have a welding machine. So everything is just machined to shape and bolted or riveted together.
Yeah, well, you always make, as we can see here, it's very compact, and it always is very sleek looking. That's why I asked. You do a great job at keeping it together, and I always tell people, you know, what Tetra's, the goal is to try and give somebody either an opportunity or independence that they thought they have lost.
Yes.
And as you articulated already, Robin, to not be able to feed yourself, it's something that people take for granted until you can't do it.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And so, well, I wish you the very best. That project, like all your other projects, looks like it's headed in the right direction. I can't thank your daughter enough for telling you about us and
I will pass that on.
yeah, talking you into this, because I think you've been a part of Tetra now for close to 3 years, and again, you've done projects in Vancouver, but a lot of them in Surrey. And thank you so much for your ingenuity and your passion and making time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it truly is my pleasure, Eric.
All right. Well, again, that was Robin de Goutiere, and this is part of Connect Together and a spotlight on Tetra volunteers. Thank you again, Robin, and we'll be in touch soon.